All right, investigating maximum drawdowns. So trading means taking risk, and taking risk means sometimes dealing with losses, as I know very well, and so does Tony. We are not, in spite of the fact that people think we're some kind of amazing genius traders, or at least that's what Tony thinks about me, we definitely take risk and we definitely deal with losses. I promise you, I've been dealing with losses for 40 some odd years, but I'm still here. So I've dealt well with losses. While there are many ways to measure risks and losses, one particular relevance to retail traders is maximum drawdown. I have my own ways of dealing with maximum drawdown. Like I said, I don't
just fetal position in a corner crying.
I don't add to trades. And
I make to trades. I cannot believe
I make sure I have very rich friends. But one of the particular
strong line of credit,
the most in the red of a particular strategy or portfolio ever reached, that's what we're going to look at today.
Okay.
So the values are what test our ability to keep trading. So let's look into how much pain, you ready?
Too much. Uncle.
I don't like pain either. How much? So we did a study using 15 years worth of data in the SPY, IWM, and USO. Why did we pick those three? I mean, the USO there was a huge move. Crude oil. What year did we go negative in crude oil? I'm spacing out for a second. I'm trying to remember what year we went negative in crude oil. I think it was 2020, but I could be wrong.
April of 2020.
April 2020. Okay.
Good job of you.
And when we went negative in crude oil, USO went down to I want to say $4, and then it reverse split.
You know what? It's so funny because can I read a quote from Negative Oil? What they said? I know it's
sure.
A little off topic. Negative Oil it was a mark that nobody thought would go past. Negative Oil is the equivalent of getting paid by your local Starbucks to take coffee off its hands. Nobody was driving. Everybody was hunkered down in their homes. It's completely false why oil went negative. It was not the reason. It was carrying costs and storage charges. But when history reads that, or they read that in the stores, they're actually going to think people were giving them.
And it wasn't future oil.
No,
it was the oil. It was just the expiring contract.
That's correct.
But future oil did get down to $10.
I know, but when the classroom reads that,
no, I understand that. It did get down to $10, and USO, if I remember correctly, got down to $4.
Yeah.
Before it went, I think it was an 8-for-1 split, but I can't remember 8-for-1 reverse split.
Yep.
So it might be a little weird. It's going to seem the USO that we're going to look at here is not the same USO that it was. In other words, USO in 2008 was 8x of that in 2020. Mm-hmm. It's a little weird. We sold the 30 delta, the 20 delta, and the 16 delta strangles 45 days to expiration. We examined the maximum drawdowns experienced over 5 years of consistent trading with one strategy and the underlying starting from a random date from the first 10 years of the study. This was a really well thought out study. Looking at a couple things, the mean maximum drawdown, the median maximum drawdown, the value at risk, not conditional value risk, the value at risk of drawdowns, meaning the amount of starting capital that allowed 95% of traders to keep trading for the whole 5 years. It's a statistic we don't usually use. Mm-hmm. So the mean, the median drawdown, and then the value at risk of drawdowns, which again is the amount of starting capital that allowed 95% of traders to keep trading the whole 5 years. We contrasted the drawdowns experienced by traders who managed positions at 21 days and those who held through expiration. I'm going to go out on a not too dangerous limb here and say those who managed at 21 days were in a lot better shape than those who held to expiration. Just taking a wild shot here. First slide, we're going to look at, remember, we've got a lot of different stuff here to look at. The 30 delta strangles closed at 21 days. It's not too bad. These are losses. Okay, the median loss, obviously. Now, again, IWM seems really low compared to USO, compared to SPY. Again, USO had that crazy move in 2020, and you can't take it out of the equation. And then the value at risk. Now, if you just look at these numbers, because they're not going to mean anything on their own, but they're going to, when we start to compare them to other things, they're going to start to be very relevant. So just take a look at, for example, in SPY, 5,000, 150, and 55,000. This is 30 delta strangles held through expiration. We go from 5,000 to 12,000 loss. We go the median from 150 to $3,500, and the value at risk from 5,000 to 85,000. Basically, all the numbers double. Same thing for USO, same thing for IWM. The takeaway here is that if you hold to expiration, you are setting yourself up for something that is potentially quite difficult, okay? Quite difficult to manage. You have to manage these at 21 DTE, which is 20 Delta Strangles. So 20 Delta Strangles closed at 21 days to expiration. I'm going to show you the same thing here. $3,700, $28, and $38,000. These are worst case, okay? Max loss. So you go from $3,700 to $8,900. You go from $24 to $1,400, and from $38,000 to $64,000. All these numbers go up by a magnitude that's insane. Like people that say to me, why shouldn't I hold to expiration? I think, you know how many emails we've gotten over the years that say, I think you guys are nuts.
Yeah.
And the reality is we are definitely not nuts. This is
much to our own surprise.
Much to our own surprise is right. This stuff is so valuable. These numbers are exponentially worse if you hold to expiration. The next one is the 16 Delta Strangle. Now, again, the difference, I'm not going to read across the board because it's hard to remember all the numbers, but $3,010 and $3,200. I'm sorry, $3,010 and $32,000 on the mean, medium, and the value at risk. And if you go, that's closing at 21 days. And if you go to the next slide, just the magnitude of this, you can see we go from $32,000 to $54, from $10 to $573. And then from whatever the first one was, 3,000 to 7,000. The risk, the mean risk doubles, the median risk goes up by 50x, and the value at risk goes double. This is a masterclass in looking at maximum drawdowns and learning the value of managing your trades early, no matter what anybody says or thinks.
I mean, it's obvious when you look at the numbers.
Of course.
It's hard when you just talk.
Maximum drawdowns and takeaways can be a scary thing to consider for a retail trader. But looking at the past, these are like the worst case, 2008, 22, all the worst cases in the last, 20 years. But looking at the past can help us prepare for the future. The median values show that most traders were able to keep trading with relatively little starting capital. But it's important to be prepared for starting off at an unlucky time. Managing trades was an effective way of limiting downside risk, not just per trade, but over years of trading.